right, here's a little tune inspired by one of the great legends of the Old West. Well, there once were two cowboys all alone out on the trail, and they discovered they could sleep with another male. Now they're having gay sex. Cowboy gay sex. Sodomy. Come on, everybody. Sodomy.
Sodomy.
No, he keeps going.
Oh, I didn't. I think that's pretty funny. Hello everyone and welcome to Select and Reflect, the movie review podcast where we look at films that have come out in the near and distant past. We give them a couple of watches and evaluate them beyond first impressions. I'm your host Michael, and I'm joined as always by my co-host Luke, and this week we are celebrating the 20-year release of Best Picture winner, obviously, because what else would it have been? Brokeback Mountain. Luke, why don't you tell us a thing or two about Brokeback Mountain?
Sure thing, Michael. So we are reviewing Brokeback Mountain at this time of year. It's kind of close to when it came out in the United States, which we'll get to, but obviously, well, normally what we do around this time is we review a movie which was released in a certain year, which is often it's like 20 or 25 year anniversary, but then won Best Picture in the new year. So we kind of celebrating its Oscar, the anniversary of its Oscar win, and also the anniversary of the release of when it was released. We'd pick, therefore, a Best Picture winner. And as you said, well, kind of referred to before, Brokeback Mountain did not actually win Best Picture. It actually lost out to Crash, which we will get to. But we've already reviewed Crash, yes, and I think we're all aware of the scandal. Well, I'm not sure at the time it was a scandal. But when
Zach Nicholson announces it, you can see him go, "Wow!" like you can see him mouth it to himself. So almost implying he was shocked even then.
Say that again.
So when Jack Nicholson announces,
okay, yeah,
Oscar
you did
winner,
right. You said Zach Nicholson.
Did I say Zach Nicholson both times?
No, you said it just the first time.
Okay, good. Well, that's fine then. Okay, one is fine. Everyone gets one.
Yeah, so this should have been the Best Picture winner. As well, we'll get into the comparisons with Crash in terms of quality, of course. I guess you could argue they have similar themes, somewhat. Are there gay characters in Crash? I can't remember. There's a lot of racism in Crash.
Yeah, you would think there would be, but no, I can't remember.
I can't remember. Anyway, so Brokeback Mountain is a 2005 American neo-Western romantic drama film. Neo-Western. So it's a new Western.
Yeah, because the old Westerns weren't gay enough.
So it's directed by Ang Lee, just after he directed Hulk.
Yes.
The screenplay is by Larry McMurtry and Diana Ossana, and it is both. I don't know if you're aware, it was a novel originally, Brokeback Mountain.
I think I saw in the credits it said based on a novel. Yes.
Well, I'm not sure was it a novel or a short story. That would be more accurate. And that was by Annie with a... What the fuck is this name? It's like a French name. It's like Prul or Pru. It stars Heath Ledger, Jake Gyllenhaal, Linda Cardellini, Anna Faris, Anne Hathaway, Michelle Williams, and Randy Quaid. It was released on September the 2nd, 2005 at Venice, but in the United States it was released on December the 9th. So we are quite close to its 20-year anniversary. And I just realised we've reviewed, because of course we were meant to review Terminator, weren't we?
Yes, absolutely.
We because of Avatar, Fire and Ash, being another James Cameron movie, but we did not because I was ill. So we
had AIDS.
Review. Obviously, I think you're referencing the fact that you reviewed Rent back a few weeks ago, which was another gay 2005 movie. Yes. So we're on to two gay 2005 movies in a row now, which is just fantastic. So, Michael, can you tell me what the budget was for Brokeback Mountain?
I'm just going to say that this movie cost $40 million. I don't know.
Why would you think this movie would cost $40 million?
They had to travel around a lot
They had to travel around
cooking
a
in
lot.
God's kitchen when it came to the nature. You know, they had to sit there all day in those mountains.
Yes, the thing is, of course, sitting, costs a lot of money. Filming in nature is, expensive compared to actually building a set.
And I guess I just thought, because of Ang Lee, he could come on a big budget. Okay, so I guess.
Do you want to have a less retarded guess, Michael?
I think I shall go for 15 million.
Oh, that's a very good guess.
That's typical of me because I'm really smart.
The budget was 14 million. So yeah, you're very close there. Honestly, when you said 40 at first, I was like, oh wow, but then obviously no. My ears weren't deceiving me. He did in fact say 40, not 14. But what about the box office, Michael? Because of course this is a famous movie. Well, of course we are reviewing it because it should have won Best Picture 20 years ago, but it also was a bit of a cultural hit at the time.
Yes. So in terms of the box office, I mean, you never know if that's going to translate, though. You could be. But then usually you don't try and lead me astray. Usually what you say is typically what you're wanting me to pick up. So based on you being an honest man, I'm going to say that this movie did reasonably well. I'm not like insane, right? Well, I don't know, because this was the mid 2000s. So I was like, it was weird because nowadays I'd be like, who would go see this gay movie? But now, I mean, back then I feel like maybe a movie like this could have done quite well just on being a good movie, even though it didn't have any Marvel characters in it. I'm going to say
did have Marvel actors.
50 million.
You know what? I tried to help you. You're right, Michael. I don't lead you astray because I know you need help.
Yeah, and I appreciate that.
Because I tried to help you because you are a bit hopeless. The correct box office answer would have been 179 million. So over 3 times what you guessed. But anyway, did you like Brokeback Mountain? We'll go on to that. And do you think it was better than Crash, even though, of course, we reviewed Crash years ago?
So it's easy to say that I thought this was better than Crash, because I didn't like Crash. So as for this movie, I think I did like it. I really, having watched it multiple times, I like the start where it's just like the vibe of them just hanging out on Brokeback Mountain. I think the only thing I would say, just to get maybe a mild criticism out of the way, to set the tone, I do think the way that later on it becomes very much blasting through their life, it sort of makes it just a little bit less intimate. Like, it's kind of interesting because it's almost a movie of 2 halves. You have the first half, which is very slow, very intimate, all of that. And then the second half is kind of like, all right, now let's get through the, I don't know, 15 years? 20 years. Like, his daughter's, even a long time. Let's blast through these over 2 decades of these gentlemen's lives, or indeed lack thereof in the case of one of them. So to me, that makes the movie just a little bit jarring, where I'm kind of like at the beginning, I'm like, yeah, this is such a nice sort of vibe. It's one of those movies you really feel it out, and then kind of get to the later half where it feels, and this is going to be more extreme of a criticism than actually reflects my opinion of the film, but a little bit kind of Wikipedia article-ish, where it's like, and then this happens, and then this happens, and then this happens. But it is still an emotional tour de force, and I felt sad after watching it. And I think that's how it was supposed to feel. So yeah, overall, I did like it. I'm just trying to set up in the interest of getting my balance out of the way right away. The only issue I had.
Yeah, the plot structure, I say it could have been better. Obviously, it's set over 20 years. It makes sense that it ends on Ennis's daughter getting married and him reflecting on the fact that he could have had a life with Jack. That is his name, right? Yes.
No, Zach.
Yeah. But I think you are correct in, yes, of course I did the little blurbs for you to read out, and in the middle of the movie I was like, right, what do I include? Because just stuff is just happening, which is not connected really to the wider story. It's just like, oh, this is what is happening in their lives. The movie does lose its momentum because it's just trying to take you through all these years. It's trying to be a bit of an epic. I think the first part of the movie, when they are on Brokeback Mountain, yeah, that's maybe the best part of the movie. Probably.
Yeah, it always sucks when we agree because that means it's boring. But actually I like when we agree because I'm very conflict averse. That's why I can never be a gay man in rural America.
Okay, yeah. Just rural America.
Not life for me. Well, I feel like everywhere else is pretty accepting.
Oh yeah, good
pretty
point.
Much okay.
Yeah. Right. Shall we get into nitpicks? Do you have any?
I have 3 of varying quality. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe some of these could have not been nitpicks, but so nitpick number 1. He didn't like spit on his butt or anything when they first go in. He's just going in dry, and I'm like, I don't buy it. That doesn't make any sense. How can that be the case? Number 2, this is a pretty serious one. This is a real plot hole. Marrying Anne Hathaway doesn't turn him straight because everyone thinks Anne Hathaway is very attractive, even though there was that HR picture of her that made everyone hate her. And then this is the final one. It's so funny to me that the implication is that they do nothing but bang for the entire trip and they don't even fish. Like, that's actually really... Because, like, they go on these fishing trips and I'm like, okay, like, they'll, do some fishing, hanging out, and then they'll bang. I don't know, maybe once at night, once in the morning. I feel like they'd need a break. So it just leaves you wondering, if they're going on these fishing trips, bringing this fishing tech, it's not even occurring to them to fish. What the hell are they doing from sunrise to sunset?
Well,
That's
yeah,
all
I mean,
have to
you
say.
kind of answered your question there. Maybe it's not a nitpick, maybe
they're just like virile.
Yeah, well, maybe, yeah, obviously they don't see each other much. So, yeah, it's a total...
But if anything, that you'd think they'd be more out of practice, but yeah.
Again, yeah, it is kind of a nitpick, and I think it's just in there so you can have that scene where Michelle Williams is like, you didn't even fish once, did you?
Yeah. It's also funny because, of course, we do know that she's basically already knows that they are gay because she saw them kissing. So it's kind of like, it almost makes you feel like she's not even annoyed about that. She's just annoyed they didn't even do any goddamn fishing. She's like, I can forgive you being gay, but didn't even do any goddamn fishing.
Also, if they wanted to make the lie a bit more believable, they could have just said hunting, because they actually do hunt, obviously, at the start on Brokeback Mountain, and obviously sometimes when you hunt you catch stuff, sometimes you don't. Like when you fish, like you should generally get something at least. But whatever. Okay, so let's get onto the plot then.
A sweeping epic that explores the lives of 2 young, gay, strapping men. Actually, you already made this joke. Okay, I shouldn't try and add jokes, because a hot ranch hand and a sexy rodeo cowboy who meet in the sweltering summer of 1963 and unexpectedly forge a lifelong, complex connection. The complications, joys, pain, heartbreak, and arse pain they experience provide a testament to the endurance and power of gay love. I think whoever wrote that, whichever Indian, Chinese piracy channel wrote that really nailed it.
When we were discussing whether we liked it, we didn't really touch on the romance and why. Why is this movie so good? Well, because obviously, and we talked about how one bit of the plot is better than the other. But the reason why, again, it's very good and should have beaten Crash to that Oscar, is because it's a great romantic story, because it takes that formula which has worked since Romeo and Juliet. You got 2 people who are in love with each other, but they can't be together because of some societal expectation, whatever that might be. And of course, in this case, it's they are 2 men, and gay relationships are not a-okay in the American West in the 1960s. So you have this like tension throughout. They want to be together, but they can't. That's very gripping. It's very dramatic, and it's obviously very sad and tragic how it ends. And I guess it could end in a happy way, but these love stories often don't. That's what makes it a bit more emotional.
Unlike Romeo and Juliet, this doesn't have a happy ending.
The tension throughout is are people going to find out? Are they going to actually be together? There's a lot of scenes where and of course the characters discuss it at one point. They're like, hey, do you think people are are going to figure it out, or do you think some people know? And that's constantly in every scene where they're not together on or near Brokeback Mountain. I don't know if they go back there on all these fishing trips that they do, but whenever they're not together, it's like all the the underbelly of all these scenes is they're gay, and are they going to get found out in one way or another? That is good. That that keeps it dramatic.
It gives it an engine. It gives it legs.
Yes, exactly. Yes, that is the engine, as you say. That ticks on throughout the movie, and obviously the overall thing of a tragic love story. When it's done well, it's the best kind of love story. Because who wants to actually sit back and watch a love story where everything works out? What are those are called rom-coms, aren't they?
Yeah, well, even then rom-coms have their drama, but in the end they work out typically.
Exactly. In the end they work out, and it's often, melodrama, and that's why, these kind of movies, these dramatic romantic movies, are on the whole better. And I'm not saying anything crazy here, but yeah, when they're done well, they can be really good. And the thing with this is, obviously I mentioned Romeo and Juliet. It's two gay characters having this romance, and this was kind of original because I can't think of any other movie beforehand which did something like this with with two gay characters, which of course adds another element which makes it interesting compared to other tragic romantic stories between a man and a woman. So
no, absolutely. I think you've nailed it. And probably the only other gay movies would have been like weird, lame indie movies no one gives a shit about. Screenwriter Diana Osana said that convincing a director and production company to make the film was a difficult process. Gus Van Sant attempted to make the film, hoping to cast Matt Damon and Joaquin Phoenix as Enos and Jack, respectively. Is it? Wait, okay, I know I've literally watched this movie. Is it Enos or Ennis?
What do you think?
I feel like it's not. I feel like it's Ennis.
Yeah,
because Enos sounds too much like penis.
And Ennis is how it's pronounced. So.
Yeah, good. Yeah, cool. Well done. Great. Damon, who previously worked with Van Sant on Good Will Hunting, told director, Gus, I did a gay movie, brackets, The Talented Mr. Ripley, then a cowboy movie, All the Pretty Horses. I can't follow it up with a gay cowboy movie. Also, I do not want to get fucked in the ass by Heath Ledger. But I will say, impeccable logic saying he did a gay movie and he did a cowboy movie. You can't then do a gay cowboy movie. I also think, was there, like there's that thing about Dwayne The Rock Johnson and Vin Diesel have like all of these stipulations about how many fights they're allowed to lose in and stuff like that. Do you think actors had to come up with stipulations about like how much they got fucked in the arse versus how often they were the ones doing the fucking? That's gotta be that's important.
Well, I don't think many, I don't think this was ever going to be a franchise like Fast and Furious, I think they would Brokeback Mountain, like two broke, two back,
Yeah, it would have made it much better when Dwayne The Rock Johnson says his classic line, I believe Fast and Furious 6, Daddy's got to go to work.
Brokeback Mountain, San Francisco Drift.
That's it. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, that's. I mean, do you think that was reasonable?
Yeah.
It's not homophobic. It's fine.
No. Yeah, I just found it funny how many actors turned it down.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Matt Damon's like, I can't do a gay cowboy movie, which I found quite funny. But yeah.
Yeah, I've never seen Talented Mr. Ripley. I don't know how gay it actually is.
Well, he is gay. The character is gay in that movie.
Good. Focus Features CEO James Shamoose optioned the film rights in 2001, but thought it was a risky project. At Osana's request, Shamoose showed the story to Ang Lee. Lee decided to make the equally acclaimed Hulk instead. In 2003, Lee considered the retirement... Sorry, I just completely read that wrong, don't I? In 2003, Lee considered retirement, but Brokeback Mountain tempted him back. Lee said, towards the end... Oh, no, I'm not going to do an accent. I'm not.
You can do the accent. Is that why you were laughing?
Yeah. Towards the end of the script, I got tullers in my eyes. He was particularly drawn to the authentic rural American life and repression in the story. Yeah, it's really interesting because in my head, I've always thought of Ang Lee as a little bit of a talentless hack, and it is just it's kind of unfair because it's mostly based on Hulk. But then I also feel like The Life of Pi, is that the movie he did?
Yes.
Was
he
also
won Best Director for that, by the way.
Yeah, but like it's also kind of a bit like hackneyed, and like I wouldn't call that movie sophisticated or like deep and intimate, having seen it. So yeah, I've never thought of Ang Lee as the kind of person who would do a movie like this. So I've always found like I don't know, it's just really funny. You've got like this gig. Like this feels like it could be a Chinese propaganda play. Like nowadays they always worry about like TikTok corrupting the youth. Imagine if this movie came out now where you just had like these gay cowboys, you had this Chinese guy behind the camera, like
yeah,
really gay.
yeah. So that's like a right wing, potential culture war thing. But again, back in 2005, people didn't care about China.
Exactly. Yeah. Which is we've come a long way.
And by the way, just to make it, Ang Lee is not. He's from Taiwan, which
I actually thought it was from Hong Kong. Okay, never mind me then.
No, that's Jackie Chan. You racist.
Yeah. Okay.
Now there are other people from Hong Kong that aren't Jackie Chan, but yeah. No. So again, he's not actually. He would be against the Chinese Communist Party theoretically. I'm guessing.
Okay.
Yeah. I do. So I do think it's interesting. He found it interesting. The rural American life and the repression in the story because of course he is originally from Taiwan.
Taiwan's got a dictatorship.
maybe he was fine kind of subverting that, the rural American Western kind of epic. Of course, that's a staple of American cinema. He was kind of fine with subverting that, and many other directors weren't.
Yeah, you'd think this would be like a movie a French guy would make.
Well, yeah, he is foreign, so it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, or like maybe one of those English guys. I really thought it was anyway. Whatever. After Brokeback Mountain lost the Academy Award for Best Picture to Crash, some critics accused the Academy of homophobia and for making a non-groundbreaking choice. Kenneth Turan and Nikki Finke derided the Academy's decision, but Roger Ebert defended the decision to award Crash Best Picture, arguing the better film won. Yeah,
so Roger Ebert, again, just being an absolute, this guy who obviously, he is like so correct on some of the stuff he says. You read his reviews and he's like, yeah, you nailed that. Other times he's just completely fucking wrong.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Now, this is a name I have no idea how to pronounce. It almost seems like it's a typo, but I guess it's a real name. Perol.
So this is, if you were listening before, this is the author of the short story the movie is based on.
Yeah.
And I said it sounds French, but it's tough to say.
I'm going to guess it's pronounced Perol. Perol wrote an essay expressing disappointment in the film not winning Best Picture. She opined that Philip Seymour Hoffman's performance in Capote required less effort than the actors in Brokeback Mountain. However, the movie was voted the top film involving homosexual relationships by readers at thebacklot.com. All right. I will say the only logic I can think of with Philip Seymour Hoffman is because he was doing a funny voice. That maybe made it easier for him to lose himself in the role, whereas these guys had to play because Truman Capote was not a subtle guy. Whereas, so maybe that's the logic, but whatever.
I still think he did very well in Capote. So I'm not going to say he didn't deserve it.
Have you ever seen the Family Guy clip where Stewie does an impression of Capote? It's like,
probably.
It looked like she not only didn't have breakfast at Tiffany's, it looked like she hadn't eaten in a year. I'm such a bitch.
Yeah,
it's a classic.
Good stuff. Yeah, I think it was. Of course, he was gay in the '60s. Truman Capote.
Yeah, famously gay.
He got away with it because he wasn't a cowboy. But yeah, a decent award to win there. The movie was voted the top film involving homosexual relationships by the readers at Backlot.com instead of an Oscar. I guess Rent was also probably competing for that esteemed award. Yeah. But yeah, obviously this was one of the biggest scandals in Oscars history. And just looking back at the two movies, it's clear one is obviously Crash is bad. This is really quite a good movie. And yeah, was it homophobia that stopped Brokeback Mountain winning? I mean, maybe that was the case, because it's certainly it's not just about it being groundbreaking, a movie about a gay romance, and it's how interesting, and obviously the Oscars sometimes likes to do that, elevate movies which are looking at topics in an enlightened way, and using, of course, movies to do that. It makes movies seem more special, more powerful. And all of that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, this is just a really good movie. So it should have definitely not lost to Crash. I think we can all say that with confidence.
Yes, that's very bold of you to say, but you know what? I agree, absolutely. Like Crash, I actually gave Crash a 1, and I actually want to rewatch Crash because my memory of it is that movie is just hilarious. Like it's literally, obviously we have Jarman now, which I don't think was a thing back when we originally reviewed Crash, because we reviewed Crash a long time ago. I think if I remember correctly, we reviewed Crash shortly after we reviewed Green Book, and I thought Green Book was better than Crash by a significant margin. But anyway, like Crash literally felt like Jarman. It was just like insane. Anyway, let's jump into the script and stop talking about awards, which don't matter. Awards, I should say. I'm sorry, Luke. In Wyoming, in 1963, cowboys Ennis Del Mar and Jack Twist are hired by rancher Joe Aguirre to herd his sheep through the summer on Brokeback Mountain. After a night of heavy drinking, Jack makes a pass at Ennis. While initially reluctant, Ennis becomes very deceptive, and he and Jack have gay sex in their tent, much to the surprise of their horses. Yes, indeedy. It's interesting.
So explain that reference.
Okay, so that's also a reference to Family Guy. They're talking about Brokeback Mountain from the perspective of the horses.
Hey, should we get going? Oh God. You know, just Family Guy got a lot of mileage out of Brokeback Mountain. Yeah.
But yes, basically, it's interesting, of course, because we've already touched on the fact that this movie, in other places, blasts through events, and that means that obviously, to keep this manageably short, we've kind of just, I think, essentially there we've described the first 50 minutes of the movie in a.
Yeah, well, that's what Wikipedia does.
Yeah,
because at the end of the day, they're not really doing a lot. They're just doing their jobs and then drinking and then eating and then eventually. Again, there's not that much sexual tension in the build-up, but I think that's fine. Like, there's some shots of of the two of them naked,
his handsome naked body,
or shots of Gyllenhaal like at penis height. Like the camera is like his penis is in the center of the shot.
It's visual imagery.
Yes, again, which I good stuff, Ang Lee, good stuff. You Chinese pervert. No, I mean he's not even Chinese. Well, maybe
I want to include all 3 inches of his penis.
Ang, it's Mr. Lee. It's probably quite a bit bigger than that. Okay. What? Well, no, because obviously he thinks penises are that big because he's Chinese.
Oh, I see. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, that's the joke. You fucking racist.
Yes.
No, I mean I'm the racist here, of course.
No, yeah,
anyway,
absolutely.
And you got some shots of Jake Gyllenhaal lying in a kind of seductive way, and so that it's good directing because these shots are happening now and again, if I just find it funny, like if you went in blind and didn't know what this movie was about, I don't think you'd assume they'd be having gay sex like in the scene which they do, because again, there's not a lot of build up to that, and I was kind of surprised watching it how sudden it was and how it's like, okay, all of a sudden, right, they're having sex where he just starts fucking him in the ass, and it's like, okay, right, fine.
That's
I knew this was going to happen, but I thought maybe they'd they'd be around the fire. And they'd start talking about, how, I don't know what they'd talk about. But basically, there would be a bit of a build-up to it. And, on the first night, there wouldn't be any of those shenanigans, they'd keep it relatively clean. But no, just we're right into it right away.
Yeah.
I wonder if Anne Proulx, the narrator of the short story, I wonder if she wrote that in the in her story. I don't know. It's interesting.
No, yeah. I mean, yeah, absolutely. But I'll say, like, obviously, I like the fact that there is so much time just spent hanging out. Honestly, I actually thought the first time I heard about this movie, and I think I knew the basic idea, I always assumed that the whole movie was just going to be about them on the mountains, and, like, the sad thing at the end would be them being like, oh, looks like we got to go our separate way. And, like, basically...
Well, that would be such a boring movie.
Yeah, I know, but I thought it would be intimate. But yeah, so with that said, I mean, I do, like, it's pretty. I suppose, really, I like this part of the movie the same way I would like a nature documentary about the Yellowstone National Park, narrated by David Attenborough. So, yeah, that's a good reason to like a gay movie.
Yeah, great reason.
Despite Ennis telling Jack that it was a one-time incident, he keeps fucking Jake in the ass as they develop a sexual and emotional relationship.
It's Jack, obviously.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I think someone else... Oh, yeah, Jake. You know what? That's confusing, and I didn't feel bad about that at all.
Sorry, why? What's confusing?
Because he's called Jake Gyllenhaal. So the one guy's called Jake Gyllenhaal, and another guy's called Jack. That's very confusing.
All right. Fine.
But yeah, I appreciate, of course, that you stress that the reason why you kind of glossed over the first part of the movie is because that's what Wikipedia did. And I can understand from this that you are very faithful to Wikipedia's exact wording.
Yes, he just keeps fucking him in the ass.
Fucking him in the ass.
Yeah. Again, it's this part of the movie. It's quite sweet. I don't want to come across as a homosexual deviant, but you know what? I'm at the same time, watching this, I'm like, maybe gay relationships are okay. Yeah. No, but that's the thing. I think it's again, this was kind of innovative, like how I don't think gay characters had ever been shown like this in like a relatively mainstream American movie. And the chemistry between these two is quite good at this part of the movie, and we'll get on to the chemistry later as well, between Gyllenhaal and Ledger. But yeah, I think a key theme from this movie, of course, is loneliness. The parallel between the loneliness of being a cowboy and the loneliness of being gay in this era of America. Which if you want to read the next paragraph, and it'll delve into that.
Yes. Ang Lee gave Ledger and Gyllenhaal books and porn about gay cowboys. Gyllenhaal later said that what ties these two characters together is not just a love, but a loneliness. I think primarily it was deep loneliness. This is about two people desperately looking for love, to be loved, and who love... Sorry, I don't know why, the word love was in my mind. and who were probably capable of it. And they just found it with someone of the same sex, and that doesn't mean they're gay at all. I guess that's an interesting commentary there. These guys are just a bunch of lonely loners, and they weren't gay.
I added that last bit in. I just thought it was
really?
funny. Yeah, and then you would just find it with someone of the same sex. Doesn't mean they're gay,
No, yeah. Yeah, it's interesting he gave them gay porn about cowboys.
See, I added that in as well.
Oh, wait, okay. Oh, okay, so never mind. Everything I didn't need to read any of this. What was the thing I was supposed to take away from that, apart from all the stuff you added as a joke?
So Ang Lee did give Heath Ledger and Jake Gyllenhaal books about gay cowboys, and I just added porn in.
Okay, cool.
I think it would be funny. You just handed him some porn with 2 gay cowboys. Here you go. Here's your research. But basically, loneliness is a key theme. That they're looking for love, and of course they are alone on Brokeback Mountain as well. There's this lonely life that they live as cowboys. And his quote continues in the next paragraph.
Yes, it does. And it does not dismiss the fact that it's about primarily the first kind of very profound gay love story. Hopefully, it can create an equality of an idea. That is, it's possible that you can find love anywhere, that intimacy exists in so many places that convention and society won't always allow us to see, and we won't allow ourselves to see because of what criticism, and danger, really, it might provoke. Yeah, it's very profound. And do you think this movie achieved that?
I mean, that's what it tries to do, and I'm not sure, did it significantly shift opinions, towards accepting gay relationships in the United States? Probably not, because I think anybody who went to see this movie, probably already agreed with, gay marriage and everything, and you're just watching this, and on the face of it, it's like, why shouldn't these two people be together if they want to? Like, what is the harm in that? And it's kind of hard to argue with, but that's what good propaganda is, Michael, of course.
No, yeah, exactly. It kind of hits you. They kind of manipulate you.
Yeah, and I think it'd be interesting, like, maybe if you were homophobic because of religious reasons, you'd watch this and be going, well, that's all well and good, but the Bible says what the Bible says. But if you were homophobic in a non-religious way, maybe you'd watch this and maybe that would change your opinion, because it's hard to see what these guys have together and be like, no, they should go, be lonely and be depressed and go back to their wives who aren't hot at all.
No, yeah, exactly. Although maybe this did have some people thinking actually they were more mad. So like I say, if I was dating Anne Hathaway, things would be very different, they'd say.
Okay.
And I can't blame them. But no, I think absolutely this probably did open up some conversations. Near the end of their contract, Ennis and Jack have a gay brawl that leaves both of them bloodied and not in the usual orifice. Before parting, Ennis laments that he left one of his shirts on the mountain. Ledger.
So we're getting into what Heath Ledger. Why Heath Ledger was cast, basically. Yes, I think this is a good time to talk about this and how he does in the movie.
The screenwriters Osana and McMurtry suggested Ledger, but the studio thought he was not masculine enough. Despite that, the script was sent to Ledger, who thought it was beautiful and put himself forward. Ledger wanted to portray Ennis and not Jack. He opined that Ennis was more complex, a masculine and homophobic character. Ledger said, the lack of words he had to express himself is his inability to love made the role enjoyable. I bet he found it really enjoyable. I mean, he's definitely I suppose both characters are actually quite complicated, and there's ups and downs and nuances to them beyond just, they're gay. Yeah,
well, obviously, that's what makes it a good movie. I think that's very,
Yeah, sorry, I get what you're saying. Yeah, it's a bit obvious, but it's still interesting.
Yeah, again, that's what makes it, this movie good, is the characters are also quite interesting, and there's a bit of a contrast between Ennis and Jack, and Ennis is this guy who is very masculine but also has these homosexual urges, of course, and that conflict is of course interesting. It's incredibly interesting, and no doubt I think Ledger that's what drew it to him, because Jack's character isn't just as challenging to play, I guess. I think Ennis is definitely. To be fair, I do think Jack is an interesting character in some ways. Like he, with the conversation that Ennis has with his parents, it's clear Jack is kind of like this dreamer. He's, he kind of. has all these grand
Yeah.
plans, and he's like, oh yeah, we can be together, it's going to be okay. And obviously Ernest is obviously realistic, and yeah, so they are different in that regard, and that's why of course they, that contrast is is good as well for their relationship. But yeah, I think it's obviously he was it was challenging to play, and as we know, Heath Ledger, he from his roles that he took, he
took
looked
his
to
own
play
life
these.
because he hated
Well,
playing a gay guy so much that
Yeah.
he decided to kill himself.
Well, yeah, he likes to play these kind of challenging characters, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it is interesting his specific character and the way. In a way, you could say, and this is, I guess, where we will decide to hate Truman Capote. The fact that he has to not talk means that it's like, it's more subtle and stuff. And yeah, to be fair, I think you can definitely say he does a lot of acting and that he loses himself in the role.
Yeah.
Jack returns the next summer seeking work, but Aguirre, who observed Jack and Ennis engaging in homosexual faggotry on the mountain, tells him he has no work for guys who, quote, stem the rose. I don't know what stem the rose means. I'm going to add it into my daily lexicon.
Yeah, I don't know either. Obviously, it's. I could look it up, but I just found it interesting he used that phrase. Yeah, and didn't outright call him gay.
Yeah. They do actually, because obviously you've mentioned the word faggot there, but they do actually avoid using that word in this movie at all.
I didn't.
Oh, sorry, Wikipedia did.
Wikipedia did, yeah. But yeah, it could. He sees them like, without their shirts on. It could just be, horseplay.
Yeah. Yeah, I would not automatically assume that makes them gay, personally.
But this is the 1960s in America,
Yeah.
So, and I suspect it's why they, Aguirre cuts their month, their like a pay short or time short for a month, so they don't get paid for the last month. Maybe that's why he does it. Maybe that's the implication there, but I don't know.
Yeah, I would think so, maybe. Oh, by the way, I didn't tell you one funny thing. So I told my wife I was watching this movie for the podcast, and she said, I felt like if you and Luke ever went on a fishing trip together, you'd just come back with loads of gay parody songs. And I'd be like...
Is that what she said?
Yeah. And she was like, it would be gay, but it would just be that you came out with loads of gay songs. Because I mentioned...
I like that.
Yeah. And she was like, I was like, oh, you'd like look in the fishing box and be like, Michael, I didn't find any fish in here, just a load of gay songs. So
that's funny.
Yeah. Gyllenhaal reacted to the script positively.
Sorry, set up that we're talking about.
Yes. Now we've spoken about Mr. Ledger. Let's talk about Gyllenhaal, who maybe he's not a better actor, but at least he's alive. Gyllenhaal reacted to the script positively and did not want to miss the chance to work with Lee and friend Ledger. Lee met with Mark Wahlberg, but Wahlberg declined as he was creeped out by the script. Mark Wahlberg is like such a bad person. Other actors were like every single story about Mark Wahlberg in any aspect of his personal life is just like he's awful. The only good thing he did was be in Daddy's Home and Daddy's Home 2. Other actors were considered, but Lee and Gyllenhaal said they were too afraid to take on the roles. Wait. Oh, I see. Sorry. The other actors. I was like really confused by the data. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, like Mark Wahlberg would be one of them, and
yes.
I imagine there's a bunch of, and so that's the thing. At the time, you could say, these roles that Ledger and Gyllenhaal took were maybe Oscar baits, particularly Heath Ledger's one. But it was kind of brave because like I think again, gay. If you got like they were young stars at the time. Gyllenhaal and Ledger. They were on the come up, and if you appear in like a gay, what was known as the Gay Cowboy movie, I don't know if they thought it was going to be known as the Gay Cowboy movie, but that's what it was known as afterwards. Like, oh yeah, that could be potentially damaging to your career because again, like homosexuality wasn't as accepted. If you want to appeal to mainstream America, maybe it's best not to appear in the Gay Cowboy movie. And I think a lot of actors probably thought that, but you know what, they were brave, and I think. Guess what? Like this, both of them. This is going to be it's one of the most important movies I think of the 21st century. Just because of the subject it tackled, and these two were the star of it, and
and they did do other roles, so well done. I mean, like Heath Ledger played the Joker, who is not gay.
Yeah, it did not kill it did not kill their career. It enhanced it. So sometimes actors talk about certain roles being brave. You were brave to take that role, and a lot of the time it's just bullshit. But you could say these two, genuinely, it was quite a brave decision to take these roles.
Yeah, and I don't even know what like artistic movies that Mark Wahlberg's been in. I feel like people would actually respect.
Well,
Mark
obviously,
Wahlberg a lot more. Oh, Boogie
obviously,
Nights.
yeah, obviously,
Yeah, never mind. Oh,
Which he
Nights.
regrets.
Boogie Nights was pretty gay. Okay, it was, I guess, the opposite to gay.
Well, it was very much the opposite to gay.
Yeah, exactly. So I suppose he has an excuse then. So now we're getting back onto the plot, just for the record. Ennis marries his fiancée, Alma Beers, and they have 2 daughters. Jack meets rodeo rider Lorene Newsom, the daughter of wealthy agricultural machinery manufacturer. They marry and have a son. Yes, so this is just where it sets up that obviously homosexual relationships actually are immoral because they're always adulterous.
Yes, and
it's
you
a
can
real
be
Philip Schofield moment.
Yeah, and you can recover from your homosexuality,
Exactly.
and you can settle down, have a wife, have kids. You can get past that phase in your life. No, but so we're going to talk about now, like how gay are these characters? Are they really gay? Because that is a source of debate as you'll get into in the next paragraph.
Yes, there is debate surrounding the sexual orientation of Jack and Ennis, with critics and the cast offering varied interpretations ranging from gay. I read ahead. From gay to bisexual to from gay to bisexual to massive homo faggots. I always like read a little bit ahead just to make sure I don't stumble over my words. I just thought from gay to bisexual to massive homo faggot to a total rejection of traditional labels. While the media frequently termed it a gay cowboy movie, researchers like Fritz Klein suggested the characters existed on a spectrum of bisexuality. The actors themselves initially framed the story as 2 straight men who shared a unique transcendent bond, though Gyllenhaal later described it as a gay love story. Other commentators argued the film's strength lies in its ambiguity, serving as a metaphor for men who engage in same-sex gay fucking without identifying as queer. Well, it's interesting, of course, because these are different characters, and I would say that Jack, that's it, who is played by Jake, that Jack is more to me. Jack seems more decidedly gay. First of all, wait, Jack's the one who gets bummed, right? And he's also the one who actively pursues. Whereas I'm not crazy, right? Ennis doesn't pursue any other men.
That's because he's a coward.
Yeah, it could be because he's a coward. Gay doesn't mean anything. I've said this for a while now, because it's kind of like when you look at history and stuff, and you'll see how I remember in ancient Egypt, you used to have kings who would have a wife who made the baby and stuff, but then they could just have as many gay lovers as they wanted. And I guess the answer, the obvious conclusion there, is if it was a well-known fact that these rich, powerful men could have as many gay lovers as they wanted. The implication is that every man, if they're rich and powerful or alone on a mountain enough, will become gay. This is just the inescapable conclusion.
These are the pharaohs you talk about.
Yes.
Again, I imagine there was some
don't
pharaohs.
Like the pharaoh sex.
Well, if there'll be some pharaohs that were gay or bisexual, and guess what? Because they're pharaohs, they can do what the fuck they want.
Yeah.
So
they wear makeup.
They can fuck who they want, exactly, yeah. But it's interesting because, the actors initially framed the story as 2 straight men who share a unique transcendent bond. It's such bullshit because I don't know how you could watch this movie and think, oh yeah, they're straight, especially Jake Gyllenhaal's character, and he later described it as a gay love story, which is true. At least they're bisexual. I think Jake is, Jack, I did it there. Jack is probably gay and Ennis is more bisexual, but again he's more towards gay than straight. And the whole thing about other commentators argued the film's strength lies in its ambiguity, serving as a metaphor for men who engage in gay sex without identifying as queer. I'm sorry, again, for me that is just complete. Well, it's just bullshit. It reminds me. Do you know what it reminds me of when I read that? The Ice Cube scene, which I'm going to play for you now.
I am not gay. I have relationships with women and sex with men.
And I got news for you. That means you're gay.
So
yes, of course, yes. So that's from Law and Order, right?
Yeah, from Law and Order. Yes, yeah. And it's like I have sex with men. Yeah, you're gay.
News for you. That makes you gay.
Yeah. Obviously, sexuality is a scale and everything, but I'm going to go ahead and say, if you want to have sex with men, if you pursue that, then you are at least 50% gay.
Yeah.
I say at least 50% gay. You're at least 33% gay, shall we say?
I had a famous quote one time, Providence. But basically what I said when I said this gay quote is I was talking about how ultimately you can kind of say sexuality is a spectrum because any honest man should be willing to be gay for a sufficiently large amount of money. Like, if I had to suck a guy's dick, but I get like £1 billion, I don't have to worry about anything. I'm sucking that dick. But then there's a question of how low...
Sorry. No, but that's not... Okay, but that's not gay. That's like you're doing it for money.
I was going to build... So essentially what I was then communicating in this, I think it's fair to call it a lecture, is there's got to be a degree of, or a thesis of sorts. There's how low do you go before it's gay? And I ultimately concluded, when you're undercutting the gay prostitutes, that's when it's gay. And these guys, they're giving it away for free. So can't argue that. That's gay.
Yeah, well, I'd say maybe not undercut. When it's gay, when it's not a life-changing amount of money. How about that?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. What do you think about the fact that Jack says that he is also banging a neighbor's wife or an individual's wife? Do you think he's just lying so that he doesn't see?
Yeah,
well, we don't see that. So yeah,
that's what Wikipedia implies. So,
yes, I think that makes sense.
We'll get onto that later. But yeah, basically on the whole, like, are they gay? Well, yeah, they are. Again, they could be bisexual, but no, they're definitely like quite significantly a bit gay.
Yeah, I think we should say they're certainly a type of gay.
Yeah, and there's no way these are just two straight men who share a unique bond. No, I'm sorry. Again, if you want to have sex with men, you cannot be considered straight. It doesn't mean you're fully gay, but you can't be considered straight. I'm sorry. Those are the rules.
Unless you're a prison rapist, because then it's kind of like about power, and that's fine. Just obviously we need to kind of put that out there because that's important.
Yeah, if it's about power, okay, but it's the exception that proves the rule.
After years apart, Jack visits Ennis. Upon meeting, they kiss passionately, which a stunned Alma sees. Ennis and Jack meet infrequently for private fishing trips and fisting trips while their marriages deteriorate. I don't know why, for some reason I actually found like that while their marriages deteriorate really funny. It's just like having fun, their marriages fall apart. Anyway, Jack wants them to create a life together, but Ennis refuses to abandon his family and is haunted by a childhood memory of his father showing him the body of a man who was tortured and killed for suspected homosexuality. I'm going to be honest here. I don't really understand killing someone for settling down as a gay man, because kind of, I remember one time.
What are you talking about?
Well, there was this song. There was a song about. There was this Jamaican song about murdering gay people, and there was someone in the comments who definitely wasn't black saying, actually, this is very reasonable because a lot of gay men go around having sex with kids. And I was thinking, okay, yeah, I can kind of see where they're coming from. I think that's a very reasonable reaction, and to kill any gay man because of that. But obviously, if they've settled down, then they're kind of like, they're banging. So that's actually the ideal arrangement. So I would say personally, if I was going to murder gay people, I would murder the gay people who hadn't settled down, because they're still an active they're an active threat. Whereas the gay men who are living together, they're okay because they're just taking out on each other. Hmm?
Yeah. No, I guess so. But yeah, it just shows there's just no tolerance for this kind of lifestyle, of course. And Ennis says, we got to stick to it as long as we can ride it, which again, I think is creating a parallel to what Jack does with the rodeo riding. How eventually, he gets thrown off, and of course, that's happens perhaps when he gets killed. The metaphor continues. But yeah, it's I think what I do like about when Alma sees Ennis and Jack, like kissing, I like how quickly it happens, because like Jack's just been here for like 10 seconds. Yeah, like, literally less than 10 seconds. Yeah, and like she sees it right away, because normally, in these movies, like, the wife or whoever, catches the them having an affair, like not right away, not before she's even met him. So I like that. It was a bit surprising how quickly it happened. But I thought, that I didn't expect that, but that's good. I like that. Yeah,
and I guess it's like, I imagine this is actually, I think this is true, that you do get like these like relationships where the woman like knows the guy's gay, but she's like, well, security, whatever, and then AIDS happens. It for everyone.
You know what that's called?
Denial. What is it called?
Well, she is in denial, Alana, or Alma, whatever she's called. But yeah, no, it's called having a beard. That's what it's called.
Yeah, of course, yes.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
There's a term for that. But yeah, let's talk about more about the Western now and how it is subverted in this movie. Because again, John Wayne wasn't getting fucked in the ass back in the 60s, was he?
No, he wasn't. The film is widely viewed as a profound subversion of Western myths, placing man love within a hypermasculine environment that lacks the language to process it. Author Annie Proulx noted that the characters' identities often function as a Rorschach test for the audience's own values and hang-ups. Ultimately, the performances by Ledger and Gyllenhaal were praised for capturing the tragedy of characters who are so emotionally stifled by their environment that they cannot fully understand or control the storm of their feelings for one another. Author Jim Kitsis quoted Diana Osanas acknowledgement of how the film subverts the myth of the American West and its iconic heroes, he commented, "What drives the emotional attack of the film is the inadequacy of its characters to articulate and understand, let alone control, the experiences that strikes them like a storm. American cowboys, of all people, have no business falling in love with each other. Practical and conservative types of rough and ready manhood are by no means ready for man love." Yeah, I think actually that kind of touches on something really interesting, which is this film, a lot like Moonlight, actually, and Moonlight is a very good movie, has that kind of, it's also commenting about masculinity. Like, it's not, and obviously that kind of makes sense because it's about gay. But, you know, like, obviously, people don't find movies about gay twinks interesting because it's like, obviously they're gay. That's why when you make a gay movie, it has to be about a drug dealer in Miami or a cowboy in Wyoming because we want to see the butchers struggling.
Yeah, well, exactly, yeah. I mean, to reference another movie we talked about, Capote, obviously he was gay, and, you know, we see in the movie, of course, that he was in a relationship with another man in the 60s, but nobody cared. It wasn't like this at all because, you know, he was from New York, you know, he's a writer, he's an academic, so yeah, of course that's, you know, I don't think it's like acceptable in wider society, but he can get away with it, you know. There's no drama there. The movie wouldn't be about Capote and his partner because what's the drama there? But yeah, of course, like you said, a drug dealer in Miami and a cowboy in Wyoming, yeah, they're not meant to be in gay relationships. You know, that's not meant to happen. But in this movie, again, that's what makes it like more romantic. You know, that enhances the romance when two people can't be together. Then,
it's like George R.R. Martin says. A great story is the human heart in conflict with itself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like maybe not. I don't really like that quote because the human heart is not in conflict with itself. The heart is in conflict with the head, the brain. Or in conflict with like society in general. That's, I think, more accurate here. Yeah, and yeah, of course, idiot. Like, and when we're talking about, like, you know, again, the Western subversion. Yeah, because obviously, you know, if you talk about one of the most masculine, I don't know, like eras, I guess, you know, you would look at the 19th century for when the West was, you know, at its peak in terms of like mythology. But, you know, this is set back in the day, you know, in the West, you know, these guys are cowboys. And yeah, like you're just not meant, like it's a very masculine place, you know, you're just not meant to be gay. And the environment, of course, just it's constantly, as the critic said, you know, in conflict with these characters, and that's what creates the drama, you know. And yeah, they have no business in falling in love with each other. You know, it can't happen, but it does.
Yeah, they wish they knew how to quit each other. Lorraine's father has a strong dislike for Jack and openly disrespects and belittles him. Alma and Ennis divorced in 1975. Jack drives to Wyoming and tells Ennis that they should live together, but Ennis refuses to move away from his children. Later, Alma confronts Ennis about Jack. The two spar, causing Ennis to storm out and cease contact with Alma. Yes, Dad, maybe you should have tried banging the dad. I'm just saying, like, that's kind of, like, that's what I would do if I had conflict.
Well, yeah, this is what we were talking about before. Like, it's the middle part of the movie where, you know, naturally, of course, their marriages break down because they are gay, because that's what's going to happen, because, you know, it's not going to be all well and good, you know, because, yeah, that wouldn't be interesting, would it?
No.
And, yeah, like, a lot of what happens in this part of the movie is just, yeah, like, the story kind of stalls. There's no real thrust in terms of momentum.
No, yeah, and I don't think anyone could say you're being unfair there, because, you know, because that's what I said right at the beginning.
Yeah, so I want to talk now about another metaphor, like the weather on Brokeback Mountain. Oh no, sorry. First Brokeback Mountain itself, and that as a metaphor for
and the title of the movie.
Yes, these guys' gay relationship. Yes. So if you will read the next paragraph, Michael.
On Brokeback Mountain, the love between Ennis and Jack is mirrored by the raw force of the wilderness. The mountain acts as a sanctuary where the desire is allowed to exist, yet is framed by a landscape that is often indifferent and brutal. The harshness of the mountain provides a paradoxical freedom. The environment is dangerous, it is also honest, allowing their bond to flourish in a space where the only laws are those of the physical world. Yes, I think it is fair to say that this nature romance intersection is rich with symbolism and parallels.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you sounded so much like ChatGPT. Again, I think the contrast is between, you know, the harshness of the weather on the mountain and the harshness of the society. When again you're looking, how tough the weather is on the mountain, and it's also beautiful as well. Of course, there's some stunning shots of, like, I assume it's filmed near Wyoming or wherever. But yeah, and that's, it's a good, I think, metaphor for their relationship. But yeah, that's so basically their relationship can flourish in the natural world, but it's when they actually get into society, where then there's an issue, and it's much more dangerous to be down there with other people in society compared to on Brokeback Mountain.
Conversely, when they descend from the heights, they encounter a different kind of force of nature, the rigid, crushing weight of societal expectation and homophobia. The mountain storms are external and visible, the social forces are insidious, forcing them into lives of quiet desperation. Ennis views the threat of society as an inevitable law of nature, a force so powerful that any attempt to resist it results in the kind of destruction he witnessed as a child. The tragedy of their story lies in the fact that while they could survive the harshest elements of the wild, they could not withstand the crushing atmospheric pressure of a world that refused to let them exist together. It's also, I guess it's kind of interesting because it gets at a paradox that, like, people like to talk about, a paradox with conservatism, if I dare to make this political, because obviously it's all about, like, the rugged individualist, no one's going to tell me what to do, I'm going to be my own man, an alpha, all that kind of stuff. But then actually it's this incredibly constraining thing where there's loads and loads of stuff you can't do. And because I feel like cowboys often talk about, like, the great untamed West represents freedom and all that kind of stuff, but then actually they haven't even tamed their own skeeviness about dudes banging dudes.
Yeah,
hypocrites.
No.
I say.
Yeah, again, like, are you saying there's a kind of hypocrisy with conservatives and freedom?
That sounds a bit harsh. Like, I don't know if I go that far.
Is that the case? Perhaps. Maybe it is. Maybe they care about freedom as long as it will benefit themselves, and actually, conversely, want to restrict other people's freedoms as much as they possibly can, because their ideology is based on an in-group and an out-group more than anything else, not actual principles. But anyway, that's beside the point.
It is.
That's beside the point. But yeah, I do think, again, the contrast is there, between Brokeback Mountain and the society, which is more dangerous. Well, it's when they actually like the society is, as Ennis thinks, this inevitable law of nature, which you just can't get past. And yeah, he's kind of unfortunately proven right, I think. So yeah, again, it's no surprise in a movie about gay cowboys set in the 1960s that the movie is critiquing society for being homophobic.
And I suppose the thing is, you could say, obviously, in some sense, in terms of themes, it's pretty obvious. So I would almost say it's more like there's the emotional exploration of it is where and the artistic exploration of it is where the value is, rather than like the intellectual exploration of it. Because I think the intellectual exploration of it is just pretty obvious. Like, society it has all these traditional ideas, they're going against it. But yeah, I don't think that's a bad thing, because obviously having an emotional artistic exploration of something is arguably what films are for. I know that might sound controversial. Anyway, let's move back onto the narrative. At the end of a tryst/fist disguised as a fishing trip, Ennis says he cannot see Jack for months due to work. The pair argue before Jack embraces a crying Ennis.
Yeah, so let's talk about the chemistry between these two, because I think it's a good time to do that.
Yeah, so Lee was happy with Ledger and Gyllenhaal portraying Ennis and Jack, as he thought that young innocence will help carry a love story until the end. Lee added, "I think these two are among the best in their age group. Jake plays the opposite of Heath, and it creates a very good couple in terms of romantic love story. The chemistry, I think, is great." Yeah, I do think that they do work well with each other. They've got quite different vibes. Obviously, Heath's got his whole quiet stoic thing. Gyllenhaal's got his whole gay thing. Yeah, he's gay. Yeah,
well, it's the thing is, for me, it was kind of tough to measure like how good their chemistry was, because again, there has to be some subtlety to it, because it's quite a subtle movie. Because again, like these two have to be quiet. They have to be on the down low because of what they're doing. They have to be secret. So yeah, they have to be subtle, and we don't get a lot of dialogue out of the two of them. This final scene where Gyllenhaal says, "I wish I knew how to quit you," that is like the scene where they speak the most, and it's, I think, like maybe the best scene in the movie. Because it really lays out their positions well, and there's some really good drama going on. That's been built up, and now it's coming out in this argument at the end of this, at the end of the movie here. I don't know, the movie's got a bit to go, but this is their final scene together, of course. So I think it's tough to measure like how good the chemistry is, because of just who the characters are and how they're existing in this time where they have to keep things on the down low. But I think obviously both of them do a good job in portraying these characters. So I'm willing to agree with Ang Lee and say the chemistry is great. Sure, I can't imagine two actors doing a better job than these two. I think that'd be pretty hard to do.
No, yeah, absolutely. I'd agree, and I'd say that. Certainly, Mark Wahlberg couldn't imagine being any better in this role. Yeah, I think that they're both also pretty good at playing like a masculine role. Like I think they have that good line between believably gay, and sort of emotionally vulnerable, while also having that sense of I'm still a man. Blah blah blah. I think it works because he was generally a very artistic, thoughtful, talented actor who, let's be honest, let's just say the elephant in the room here. It is actually quite sad he died, because it seems like he was quite a potentially generational actor, and who knows what performances we would have got from him in the last 20 years.
Yeah, but I think people said that when he died, it was sad.
Yeah. Yes. I imagine people said that more so when he died, because then it was fresh. And then Jake Gyllenhaal.
That's what I said.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. And Jake Gyllenhaal, he's kind of a jerk, but I think that actually works for him. I think his jerk, like Jake Gyllenhaal always feels like a kind of psycho jerk in every movie he's in, but I think that actually works here because, it kind of plays well with his gayness. You could say it gays well. A postcard Ennis sent Jack is returned stamped with deceased. Ennis calls Jack's phone number. Laureen answers and says, Jack died when a car tire exploded in his face. While hearing what happened, Ennis envisions men fatally beating Jack with a tire iron. Yes. It's interesting that here it says he envisions it, because I always kind of interpret it as like that was the movie showing us what actually happened. And I guess maybe it's kind of both, like he's envisioning it and the movie's telling us that what actually happened. But is there supposed to be any ambiguity as to whether or not this is what actually happened in your mind, Luke?
So what is the point in making it vague? Because I was interested in this, because obviously, we follow these two main characters a lot. Like, it's not like Ennis is like the main character and, Jack is like a sidekick. Jack, we get a lot of scenes of just Jack. And so why would Ang Lee, or, again, not show us his death? Because it's more powerful if like Ennis is imagining it and it's not confirmed. Because I guess if it was like, he did, it was an accident, well then that's just tragic. But if it wasn't an accident and he was murdered, well then maybe it would be too heavy-handed. The message would be too heavy-handed. But then it's kind of in between that. So it's like, possibly, tragic, but possibly, this is what did happen to him. And you'll never know. So I suppose that's why it was done, because maybe it'd be just too blunt if he did get murdered. Too on the nose. Yeah.
Because basically, and I guess that's also why you have him as more of a side character, because again that kind of, rather than having it so that the main character is the one who suffers this fate. That's I think that's probably the best explanation. Do you want to hear about some controversy?
Well, we were talking about obviously the possible homophobia that led to the death of Jack in this movie. There was some controversy with homophobia when the movie was released. Yeah,
on the very otherwise uncontroversial date of January 6th, 2006, Utah Jazz owner Larry H. Miller removed the film from theaters at the Jordan Commons Entertainment Complex in Sandy, Utah. Miller said the film's content had no resemblance of a traditional family, which he believed is dangerous. I mean, I think people in Utah should be allowed to be homophobic, just because that's kind of their thing. So, I think at the end of the day, the gay people in Utah can just move somewhere else. So what is Utah Jazz? Is this like so I guess it's just like this guy ran a movie theater or something?
The Utah Jazz are a basketball team.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, I didn't know that at all. Okay, so this is relevant to you then, because you like basketball, which means you must like this guy.
Well, I don't like the Utah Jazz, so
okay.
But it's just, I'm sure there was more controversy, but I just found it funny. But again, the movie of course talks about homophobia. This is a homophobic decision that the Utah Jazz owner made, and it's like, still all these years later, and I see it back in the mid 2000s. This was this was controversial, but it wasn't out, shocking. Well, whereas I feel like today this would be completely shocking. But I just find it like, again, who's going to see this movie who doesn't know what it's about? I just would find it funny if people went in and were like, well, time to sit down for a good old Western. Glad they're bringing them back. I always loved them when I was a kid, and then just their eyes are like Clockwork Orange. Well, I guess they wouldn't have their eyes open, but they'd be horrified in what they're watching.
Though, I do enjoy imagining the like shocked faces of people who thought they were just going to see a fun, family-friendly movie, and then look what happened. They got the gade. Frankly, I feel sorry for them. I think that was uncalled for. They should have made this movie. They should have had a content warning.
Yeah.
Lorene says Jack requested his ashes be scattered on Brokeback Mountain. Ennis visits Jack's parents, hoping to carry out his wishes. Jack's father declares that Jack's ashes will be interred in a family plot. Ennis finds his shirt he thought he left on the mountain, which Jack had secretly kept, nested inside one of Jack's shirts. Ennis embraces the shirt and silently weeps. Jack's mother allows him to keep them. Yes, so parents, interesting. I feel like it kind of is what you would expect. Seem like kind of dads, I would imagine, live around that place.
Well, yeah, again, it's just another example of, again, how homophobic society is, just another example of it, yeah. And, also Ennis kept a piece of, or Jack kept a piece of Ennis, and now, Ennis has a piece of Jack. So I think that's what they did with the shirts.
Yeah. It's kind of like a parallel, if you will. Years later, an aging Ennis lives alone and reclusive in a trailer. His grown daughter, Alma Jr., visits him to announce her engagement to Kurt. As Alma Jr. leaves, she forgets her jacket, so Ennis puts it into the closet where the two shirts hang. Jack's shirt now inside Ennis's. Next to them, tacked to the closet door, is a postcard of Brokeback Mountain. With tears in his eyes, he stares at the He stares at the mementos and says, "Jack, I swear." Kind of a very beautiful, heartfelt ending, I think is what I would say.
I was surprised at how good this ending was. I think it's a really good ending. Like, of course, when his daughter visits, and she's like, "I'm getting married. I'm going to spend the rest of my life with this guy." And and Jack is like, "Oh yeah, it should have been, them together." Like he's thinking that about, of course. Ennis is thinking that about Jack. And it's a good way to end the movie. It is, I guess, heartbreaking would be the best way to describe it, because he's never going to have that chance to be with Jack, of course. And what could they have had? Looking at that picture of Brokeback Mountain, it's like, why couldn't that just be us all the time? But I think it's interesting that the author, again, I'm not going to say her name, of the short story, she got sent a ton of fan fiction from people, basically correcting the ending as they saw it, where Jack and Ennis do end up together and Jack doesn't die. And she said it's all bullshit and she hates it. What
a negative Nancy.
It's the average person cannot write, doesn't know anything about art. I just thought that was funny. But no, it's a great ending, a very good ending. I think it does elevate the movie a lot.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I would agree. And it did, like I kind of said, I left this movie feeling pretty emotional. It's just one of the, I wasn't crying or even close to on the verge of tears, but it's one of those, you get those movies, ideally a lot of movies, where it's kind of once you finished it, you can't just immediately go about the rest of your day. That's kind of how all movies should be. It's kind of I finished this movie, and then I actually needed to go get lunch. I watched the movie before lunch, and I was like, guess I gotta go get lunch now. But it was it felt weird to just go about and I'm gonna do this anyway. So, and that's what I like, and that to me tells me if a movie's supposed to be even slightly emotional, that tells me the movie's good. If I feel a little bit weird about just going on with the rest of my day after I finished, well done. Would you like to hear about Legacy, Luke?
Yes.
Or would you like to hear about the Lucasy leg? Widely regarded as a landmark in LGBT cinema, Brokeback Mountain catalyzed a significant shift in Hollywood by encouraging major studios to finance projects that avoid queer stereotypes, directly influencing later films such as Milk and Transamerica. Its profound cultural significance is evidenced by its 2018 induction into the National Film Registry and the high-profile auction of its iconic costumes, which were likened to the Wizard of Oz's ruby slippers. Of the modern era, I see what it's saying there, sorry. Likened to the Wizard of Oz's ruby slippers of the modern era, and used in museum exhibits to explore queer history in the American West.
Yeah. So
absolutely, it's very significant.
Yeah, again, I think this again is known as the Gay Cowboy movie. I mean, I'll conclude right now. So yeah, I think it's it is just framed as that like this Gay Cowboy movie, but it was like significant historically because again, I don't think there had been a movie like this beforehand released in Hollywood. That gained mainstream attention. And yeah, I think it's a very good like romantic love story. Again, the plot kind of stalls in the middle, which is annoying. But again, you like the metaphors. You like the subversion of the American Western. All of this stuff makes it, a really good movie. And it's kind of crazy that it lost a crash back in 2006. It would have been, just wild to look back on that because I was surprised how good it was. Because again, it's famous, which again I talked about before. It's a famous movie. Everyone knows about it, but it's actually like really good. So I think I'm going to give this an 8.5 out of 10, Michael. Again, it would have been a bit higher if the middle of the movie didn't just stall a bit, like I said. But yeah, 8.5. What are you going to give it?
I was going to plan on giving it a low 8 for the, basically for the reason it not being higher is that of everything we just said. So yeah, basically, I think pretty much it's one of those movies where in just talking about it, I think we've covered most of what would need to be said as being our opinions. Yes, low 8 was what I was thinking.
Of course, well, I would say now, well, let's look back at what we guessed for our predictions regarding Avatar: Fire and Ash. What it was going to get on Rotten Tomatoes, because but we didn't guess that, did we? We didn't guess what Avatar was going to get on. So that means basically I won that little Rotten Tomatoes battle that we have. I won it by 9 because
I'm gonna kill myself.
Yeah. Anyway, Michael, what are we reviewing next time? Which will be in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, we've got a break. We're reviewing this gay-ass movie called One Battle After Another.
Because it's Oscar season, the most wonderful time of the year. Not Christmas, not this time. Of course, Oscar season. So yeah, join us.
I will say this, credit to the Oscars, because everyone always says like, January and February is shit, because it's like cold and blah, blah, blah. But actually, I think they chose the right place to have the Oscars, because maybe I can just sit inside and just goon my mind for once with some artistic appreciation.
Get in your mind, that's a good phrase. So yeah, join us for that next time. Who have you been, Michael?
I've been Michael.
And Michael, I wish I knew how to quit you. You get it, because that's what he says in the movie.
Seriously, Luke, are you gay?
No.
Cool. All right.
No, despite having sex with men, I am not gay because
you have relationships with women.
Exactly. I'm okay. I'm perfectly straight. Right. Anyway, see you next time. Bye.
Bye.